Hey, Meno Warriors, if you've ever woken up tired and then stayed feeling tired all day and all week and all month and the months beyond, not just physically, but emotionally, energetically, it's like you're being suppressed by a big, dark, heavy cloud and you're trying to wade through treacle. You have literally no motivation to do anything. You feel flat and it's completely at odds with how you used to feel, then this video is for you. And today we're discussing that it's not about a lack of sleep or what you eat or don't eat. Of course, that does play an impact, but it's about your cellular energy availability. So we're boiling it down to how your energetic levels in your cells might be negatively impacted due to menopause or perimenopause, and also the very easy thing that you can possibly consider adding in order to help alleviate that and improve your energy production at a cellular level. When we talk about menopause fatigue, there's the common things. It's like, well, get to bed early, make sure that you're sleeping well, try and minimize your stress, eat clean-ish, do your strength training, get your workouts in, because all of those will help to generate energy within the body. But if the actual cells are not performing correctly, and while all of those things are important, they don't always explain the really deep fatigue that some menopausal women feel. And also if you're recovering from maybe long COVID, you have something like ME or CFS, or you're struggling with something like Lyme's disease or recovering from Lyme's disease, or you've had the flu. When you have like full-blown flu, not just a sniffle of a cold and people say, oh, I've got the flu. So it's like, no, you've not. If you've got the flu and your house is on fire, you just roll over. The flu makes you feel so incredibly awful. And even things like getting up to have a shower. I can only talk about the flu because I haven't got the other issues, but I know when I've been really poorly, even just to get up to go to the toilet is exhausting. And that is not because, obviously I'm fighting a virus, but for a lot of women, that feeling of exhaustion is something that they live with on an everyday basis, not necessarily to the degree that it might be with, lupus or ME, CFS, long COVID, etc., or indeed fighting a horrible virus. But it is that low-grade persistent fatigue that just have such a knock-on negative implication in your life. Everything just takes more effort. Your brain works more slowly. You just lack motivation. There is no zing or excitement at all anymore. And this could well be down to how your body produces and maintains energy levels at a cellular level. Everything that you do requires energy of some sorts. Thinking, sleeping, eating, working out, regulating your emotions, healing, repairing, all of that requires energy within the body. If you have absolutely no energy, you're like, it's like a computer that has no energy. The battery's drained, it won't turn on. Same applies to us as humans. And this is where it gets, I think, just fascinating. So inside your cells, you have what is called mitochondria. Those act like the little batteries, the little powerhouses within your cells. Their job is to generate from fuel ATP, adenosine triphosphate. I've covered this in previous videos. I will link them in the description box below. ATP is like our energy currency. We need that adenosine triphosphate in order for us to function properly. But during menopause, this system actually becomes less efficient, as do most other things. Estrogen plays a role in how your brain metabolism works, how your brain uses glucose for energy, how efficiently energy is produced, how your mitochondria, so the little batteries, the powerhouses in your cells work. And when you're going through perimenopause into postmenopause, your estrogen levels are fluctuating and then they decline. So that has a direct impact on literally every cell of the body. But for today, we're talking about that heavy fatigue in particular. I covered how energy might have an impact on depression last week and also on sleep the week before that. I will list them in the description box below. As estrogen declines, we see less energy availability, increased fatigue, brain fog, just more mental energy to carry out simple tasks like trying to link two ideas together that were really clear a few seconds ago, and now you've lost the plot completely and you've lost that thread and just can't get it back as to what you were thinking about saying that was just so important when it sprung into your mind. And this is where I want to introduce the idea of a supplement called creatine monohydrate. Like I say, I've spoken about it at length in the last few previous episodes. I have, during my research, been absolutely flabbergasted by how many different aspects of our lives creatine can have a positive impact on. There are many emerging studies to reinforce everything that I'm sharing with you today. It is a low-cost supplement that has so many positive benefits, particularly for us women who are getting older and we're trying to live healthy-ish, fulfilling lives. And creatine seems to be one of those supplements that is not newly researched either. I think the first paper on creatine was written in 1832. So it is not a brand new thing. It's quite new that so many people are talking about it, me included. But it is absolutely fascinating and the different ways it can benefit us. The only caveat I would say is if you have kidney disease, you would definitely need to talk to your doctor about it, just because of the creatinine that it creates, the byproduct. Normal healthy people don't need to worry about it. And also, if you have bipolar disorder, taking creatine or slightly higher doses of creatine has been linked to some manic episodes. So again, if you're going to be taking creatine, or if you currently do and you are bipolar, then make sure that you're doing it with the support of your medical provider. The creatine is a naturally occurring compound. Our bodies do create some creatine. One of those very early studies was how creatine can benefit man in the olden days, and it came from a beef flesh substitute. It came from beef flesh. That is the French translation of the title of the paper that was originally put out there. And it does come from animals. So if you're a vegetarian or vegan, it might be that your creatine levels could be on the lower side. But just by eating lots of meat, you are never going to eat enough in order to naturally supplement your natural levels within the body for any significant change. So you do need to take it as a supplement. It's one of those few supplements that I think we all ought to be taking for so many different levels: our brain health, our energy levels, our ability to maintain lean, strong muscles if you're doing your strength training. I hope you are. To sleep better, and so many other different things. The main role of creatine is to support what is called the phosphocreatine energy system within the body. And that means that when ATP, so the cellular energy currency of your cell, uses energy, it loses one of its phosphates. So adenosine triphosphate becomes adenosine diphosphate. So it loses a phosphate. ADP is like a depleted battery. So anything with a depleted battery is not going to work quite as well as a full battery. So what creatine does is it donates a phosphate to the ADP, turning it back into ATP, the triphosphate. And that helps your body to generate energy more efficiently at a cellular level. This is really important in parts of the body that need energy, like your muscles and your brain. And next is something I want to just touch on because I think it's really important. Fatigue isn't just about low energy per se, it's about the stability of your energy systems. When your mitochondria, the little powerhouses of your cells, are under stress, which is quite common in menopause, it can feel a bit like your body's running on inconsistent power. So it's a bit like having the lights on and then they keep flickering. There's some emerging research that suggests that by taking a creatine supplement around sort of 5 grams, 3 to 5 grams a day, it can help to act as an energy buffer system. So it stops that flickering and it keeps the energy levels more stable, and also supports the overall function of the mitochondria in the cells. To be really clear here, creatine is not going to be a magic fix. If you suddenly start to take it, you're not suddenly going to feel, wow, amazing and better and clear and like zingy. But it is going to have an effect over a few weeks. If you already take creatine, by increasing the levels of creatine that you take already, you might actually notice a bit of a difference. There've been various studies that have shown for people who are sleep deprived during the tests that they perform much better the next day if they take a large dose, something like 20 grams of creatine in one dose. Same with jet lag, it can help you get over jet lag more effectively. So for an acute term, so a short burst of more I suppose, energy availability, creatine can work really, really well. And you might hear of bodybuilders or people who go to the gym a lot that they load their creatine. That's just to saturate the muscles faster. For a midlife woman wanting to have the benefits of creatine, long term, you're looking at around 3 to 5 grams daily, probably nearer the 5 gram mark for the physical and the mental benefits of it. And then for studies that have shown, taking a significantly higher dose to get the boost from serious sleep deprivation or indeed jet lag. There are also quite a few people out there who say they take a large amount daily. I'm not entirely sure whether you actually need to, because the body, and there are also reports that suggest this, the body will only take on so much. And so it could be that you're just peeing out the rest. I think the important thing to do is if you're not already taking it, is to try it and see how you feel. Track what your experience of taking creatine is. If you struggle with digestive issues, you might want to take maybe 1 gram in the morning, 1 gram at lunch, and 1 gram at evening time for a couple of weeks while your body just gets adjusted to taking the creatine supplement. Make sure you're drinking plenty of water with it, and then you can, as you get used to it, you can then build up that dose to around 5 grams in total. I take around 7 grams in the morning, and then I take 3 grams before I go to bed at night. I'm convinced it helps me sleep better. I'm fighting a cold, a really sort of achy, horrid cold at the moment. And I got into bed, I was freezing cold, turned out the light, and then thought, oh, I've not had my creatine. And I honestly felt it was so important that I got out, and it was freezing cold because our boiler's broken down at the moment. And went to the kitchen, just mixed myself up some 3 grams of creatine in some water and literally necked it, because I'm convinced it has such a positive impact on the quality of my sleep. And obviously, when you're fighting a virus, your sleep is incredibly important. So while it was a horrible experience having to get out of bed and get really cold and chilly again, I'm pretty sure it was well worth doing. So, consider taking it before bed for sleep improvements too. I recently did an episode on creatine and sleep, and I will make sure to link that above. I think it's there. It might be there, but I think it's there. And then you can check that out. Instead of asking about why you might be so tired, you've tried the nutritional improvements, you've tried the strength training, you're getting reasonable sleep, and still you're feeling just absolutely spent, just so heavy with fatigue. It could well be the cellular energy that needs more TLC. And creatine monohydrate is an incredibly low cost, easy supplement to add that has just got so much stuff being written about it at the moment. It is so exciting. Have you tried creatine? And if you have, what have you noticed? I'd be fascinated if you wouldn't mind sharing that in the comments. And make sure I will link them below, that you watch the creatine on sleep and creatine on depression, and also creatine generally for a menopausal woman's body. All come back to the same core idea, and that is cellular energy. It also means that you're not doing something wrong. I think there is nothing more frustrating than changing your lifestyle, improving what you're doing, being cognizant of your gut health, the sleep, etc., and then still you're feeling fatigued. Creatine might be the missing link. So give it a try. If you found it helpful, please consider liking and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss future episodes. Make it a great week. Take good care of yourselves. Times like this out there with the geopolitical climate, I think it's exhausting for everyone. It just seems chaotic and slightly bonkers. So right now, we all need to be supporting each other and also supporting our own energy levels. Thank you so much for your company, and I will see you next week.